Yes, it is another white 60 series behind me, but there is a big difference with this one. We'll go into it. It's a pure retro machine, 8th month, 1988 FJ60. And this has got so many period retro items on it. The Hurricane rims are sick, and we're still to get some new tyres on there. The period ARB colour-coded bull bar up the front. And how can we even look away from the decals on this bad boy? Just check them out. They would have been put on there by the dealer probably back in 1988, and they've been there ever since. This thing is mint. There is a couple of little tiny spots of rust, and this thing hasn't had any paint job in the past. It's got a bit of clear coat coming off the bonnet, so I don't know if something ever went on there, but this is a cool machine. And why is it into Mr Landcruiser? We do 3-hour reports here at Mr Landcruiser. This one came in for a 3-hour report, a right go over, because the new customer has just bought this thing from New South Wales. He's brought it up to Queensland, to Mr Landcruiser, to get the big check over. Now we've been right through this thing, and we've picked up a few things. We'll go into that in a minute, because it was there were a few surprises once we started to delve deeper into it. But this car is destined for Darwin, so once we're done here, it's off on a big journey up to the tip, up to Darwin, where it's going to spend the rest of its life up in the Northern Territory. So it's very, very cool. This vehicle has also had the full parabolic suspension set up on it, and he's even gone one further, and we've got the remote reservoir shock absorbers from Terrain Tamer on there as well. So it's very cool. He's gone all out on this one. It's going to do a lot of outback driving, so he's going to need as much comfortability. He's going to need as much comfort as possible. So he's gone for the parabolics and the remote res shock. So they should be able to put up with the corrugations and that in the Northern Territory. Very cool. What we should do now is go under the bonnet, because there's some there were some big surprises under there. So under the bonnet, so our 3-hour report picks up a few things, mainly mechanical stuff, oil leaks, water pumps. We've had the radiator out of this one to give it a good flush, make sure it's all good so the customer knows where it's at. But one of the jobs was to do the rocker cover gasket. Now, I've seen bad engines in my time, and it really does put a spotlight on maintenance and oil changes and looking after your vehicle. So at some point in the history of this vehicle, someone would not have not done enough oil changes, or they've skipped a few oil changes, because when we pulled the rocker cover off, it was just absolutely congealed with carbon build-up, all up in the rocker cover itself. The rockers were like unrecognisable. It really was one of the worst ones I've seen. So what the boys did, we had to take that out, and they had to just chip away at that with the vacuum cleaner at the same time. On the other hand, just chip away at the carbon, real slow process, just getting it all off. And obviously that meant that that's then going to drop down, some material will drop down the sides, so then the side covers needed to come off to clean out in there, and it was exactly the same in there. And obviously after all that stuff's dropped down, the sump had to come off as well. It was pretty good under there, but it was just all the stuff that had settled at the bottom. The oil pickup was nearly completely blocked, so I'm glad we went to do the rocker cover on this, because it really did highlight some bad problems. But now it's super clean, and we've had all the rockers off completely. The rocker rail, we've stripped down each individual rocker, cleaned it all out, put it back on, and then what we did, we fired the engine up just to make sure we were getting oil delivery to the top of the rockers, and all the oil was coming out nicely while it was just ticking over. So once we were happy with that, we boxed the engine back up, and it's all good to go. Other than the other maintenance, that was probably the biggest job we had to do with this 3-hour report, and it wasn't on the original 3-hour report. It came up after stripping the engine down somewhat. So I'm glad we sorted that out. I think that amount of carbon in there is definitely going to have a detrimental effect to the inside of the engine. So all good. Let's go inside. Right, in here, it's about as stock standard as you get. There's nothing to talk about really, other than the fact that it's got a really cool doubled in original head unit in there, tape deck, with buttons for, I don't know, people with like disabilities or something, because, you know, like they're so massive, you can never miss them. But anyway, we've got Again, a very period correct UHF as well, Uniden down here. I think I really dig that actually. That's so period correct. It's so retro. It's so cool. Yeah, other than that, we got really, really nice seats with no rips in them at all. The carpet's mint. There's a little bit of fraying just round by the gear stick, but you know, who cares, man? There's some really ominous spider webs in here as well. Look like redback spider's webs, so I won't spend too much time in here. Maybe have to set off a cocky bomb in here just to kill anything that's creepy crawlies around here. Roof lining, absolutely immaculate. Sun visors, everything. Michael has done such a good job with this one. He's bought a real mint 60 here. He was a bit worried that it was a 3F and it's going to be a bit juicy, but you know, you can't have it all, can you? Absolutely lovely. Let's wrap this one up. Right, it's the end of the road for this HJ60 behind me at Mr Landcruiser. We've done everything we can to get this bad boy back on the road, to make it as safe, reliable, maintenance free as possible. I hope it has an awesome journey up to Darwin. It's going to live its rest of its life in the Northern Territory, and that's exactly where this vehicle belongs, man. Outback Australia. 8th month 1988 FJ60.